I'm Sully, and as always, welcome to the Gun Club. Alrighty, welcome aboard, folks. Tonight is our weekly update, our live stream for Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. Got a few interesting cases to cover, a few things to go over. Couple of them good, one of them not so good. We'll get into that. Definitely got some material for tonight. I want to apologize that we never got the late night stream over the weekend. Things sort of got into a bit of a technical glitch with some of that. I'm still working on one hand or one computer tied behind my back right now, waiting for the other one to come back from the shop, so to speak, come back from the hospital. So as soon as I find out more on that, I'm actually supposed to call them tomorrow and see what its situation is. They've had it about a week. Hopefully it's nothing major and I'll have my regular streaming machine back. Otherwise, well, I'm working off a laptop here, so if I lag a little bit, I'm sorry. Again, I'm kind of working without the proper tools for the job at the moment. For those of y'all who aren't familiar, welcome aboard. This is the Gun Club. My name is Mike Sullivan. I'm a firearms instructor in upstate South Carolina. I'm also paramedic for about 25 years. We have over 35 years response in EMS, fire, and law enforcement experience. And from time to time, we get together and go over some of these different events, different articles, different things that are of interest to the 2A community, so to speak. If you haven't seen us before, we keep all of our stuff over on Rumble. We put some stuff on YouTube, basically the stuff that YouTube lets me. I'm not trying to dog them. It's their world. I'll play by their games. But if you're looking for more information on any of the stories you see here, we typically try to post it up on X or Twitter or Facebook. We do have a locals channel in there, thegunclub.locals.com, which is free to join, free to check out. We have our Rumble library with all kinds of stuff in it. We also do Rumble exclusive live streams some weekends where we get into topics that are just not quite YouTube friendly. And I've got one that we've been working on for a while, and it's going to be coming on pretty soon. If you want to email me about classes or training, it's Mike at southeastdefense@gmail.com, and I do check it regularly. Oh, let's see who all we've got in the neighborhood tonight. I see Mary has come in, yeah. And they say women are never ready on time. I'll put it this way. No one put a song, together about waiting on the Gun Club to start. Okay, so take that for what it's worth. And I see Scott Awesome's in the chat. Scott, I don't know if you quite caught it. I did a deep dive video on that case you hit me up with about Idaho Falls. I didn't do it as a live stream. I wanted to do it sort of straight through without chats and without me cutting up with people and everything else. But it's up in Rumble and in YouTube now as an incident report from Idaho Falls. I also did reach out to the gentleman involved's father who was on the Canon Hotep stream, and they do not have a give, send, go up as of yet. I'm going to try to follow that case through as it goes. I'm hoping that at the preliminary hearing, they go through and they toss that out at self-defense. But I did put it up there, and I definitely appreciate you giving me a heads up about that one because it was definitely much appreciated on there. Yep, 10-4 up. It's up there. You can check it out later today. His dad seemed to think it was a fair representation, good, bad, and ugly, of the whole situation. Yeah. All righty. Before we get too deep into there, I want to touch on a couple things. I got a little bit of feedback from the live stream I did about range day, about going to the range. A couple things that I was suggested that I might mention that I sort of missed. Okay, fine. I missed some shit. I'll fair. Number one, when you're looking at ranges, how accessible is the range for, say, people with either limited mobility, special needs, i.e. somebody that's either, an amputee who uses crutches on a regular basis, or somebody who's in a wheelchair. A lot of the indoor ranges will have, more readily available parking. They may have, you know, permitted or placard parking readily available. Typically, the surfaces will be a little bit easier than some of the red clay dirt ranges. So that, is definitely something to take into account when you're looking at a range. You know, again, some better than others, but definitely something to look for. Another thing that was mentioned again for people first timing at the range was what to wear. Generally, most ranges want closed toe footwear of some sort. You know, no offense, Mary, this ain't the day to break out your hooker heels, okay? They want, closed toe footwear, that type of thing. No flip flops, sandals, sneakers, decent, sturdy. They don't require combat boots or anything, but, appropriate. Also, another thing to think about is if it's going to be outside and muddy, possibly old sneakers. Now, Minnie and I went out to the range the other day, an outdoor range. We were actually shooting some film out there. We're going to be playing with some stuff. I've got some great video of her and me with assorted long guns, checking stuff out there. And, it was a little bit muddy. So we wore, old shoes. We knew we were going to be in red clay mud because I'd been out there before. Definitely not the night to, break out the hooker heels because they would have sunk in. So Minnie left those at home, which was a good idea. Well, maybe for the indoor ranges on ladies' night, Scott. Okay, fair enough. Minnie also mentions this. Ladies, definitely you want to remember this one. Not the time to wear the low-cut shirts. Hot brass can make quite an impression when it nuzzles up next to the girls. That's all I'm going to say there. So, if you want to wear the, t-shirt, something with a high neck. Personally, if I'm teaching and I've got a shirt on like this and I'm standing behind a student who's firing, I always try to make sure I have a clipboard in hand, and I try to bring the clipboard up to about here, and you'd be surprised how much brass goes off my clipboard when I'm dealing with that. So yeah, Minnie left the hooker heels at home. So yeah, ask her how she knows to be careful for hot brass. Let's just say, well, the hat should have leave a mark. But anyway, so enough of that. But again, Scott, you think about this. This is something that, honestly, when I started way back when, with firearms, I didn't have to worry about it too much because we were still, with revolvers. My first gun was a Smith 686. So it wasn't like we were worrying about flinging hot brass on each other. And, from that standpoint, even, getting into long guns, if you're out there with somebody who's new, just realize if you're sort of behind them to the right, working with them and everything else, where we typically have instructors standing, the clipboard can pay big dividends. Yeah, ask me how I know. But anyway, above and beyond that, yeah, proper attire, big thing. Also, what's their policy on drinks? I mean, some places, most won't on the indoor ranges allow you any drinks or food or anything else inside. Some of the outdoor ranges, they'll allow drinks like water, but they won't allow sodas or anything else. They'll allow water bottles. And the reason is they don't want sodas or juices or sports drinks is because in the summertime in outdoor facilities, it can attract all sorts of nasty bees and wasps and insects with all the sweet to their range, but they're cool with water. This is all stuff you can find out. Ask them, talk to them. A lot of these range owners, they really jam up. When we went down to the outdoor range, we brought a water bottle with us, yeah. And I actually had my jumbo Mountain Dew, but I left it in the truck because I knew, they don't allow anything down there. Yeah, typically no smoking in the range and indoor, but outdoor ranges, it depends on, what their SOPs, what their policy is, but you can find that out when you get there. Smoking or not smoking to me, yeah, I smoke a lot, but I can always, sort of hold off till I come out of the range or whatever. But saying, "Oh, I came down with like 2 cold Gatorades because we're gonna be outside all day." But you can't use Gatorade, you can use water. That's something you gotta plan for, you know, kind of like planning to wear a high cut shirt, Mel. Just saying. But anyway, yeah, remind me to throw some burn cream in my range bag and put Minnie's name on it. But we'll just go with that. All righty. Other things from the range day. I've been in touch with another instructor who's fairly local to me, and he and I have been discussing some different options about building some more curriculum. Again, we have the South Carolina CWP. We still teach the CWP, but we're looking at actually putting in something a little bit more, I won't say aggressive, but more advanced, the skills development thing. If any of the instructors who watch this, I'd love ideas, I'd love thoughts. What do you think? Folks who are watching this, especially, Mel, you've been through my CWP. What do you think we should cover more? And I'm not thinking getting into ARs or long guns or, other platforms. I'm thinking, where do we go to take that driver's ed level of, okay, I passed my basic test. Where do we get that to like the next level of like the defensive driving or, that type of thing? Yeah. And well, we see what Mel thinks of my joke with the burn cream. There will be burn cream in my range bag the next time we go anywhere. Speaking of that, let me know if you're interested in range day tomorrow. I think I should be available. I've got about 118, 120 claims I've got to process tonight after I get off here, but that shouldn't be too bad, so I'll work from there. All righty. Tonight, the first story of the night, and this is a little bit of a court case, and it is a very, very weird court case, and it involves Smith and Wesson. Now, this one I had not seen. It was posted up in Breitbart News. AWR Hawkins did a bang-up job on it. And I thought it was really interesting because he got the exclusive interview with the CEO of Smith & Wesson, Mark Smith. And I'm just going to go through this case a little bit, but I think it goes to show how crazy, how bizarre, how over the top the anti-gun lobby has, or the anti-gun gang, I should say, I guess, has decided to play this game. Okay. Anti-gun shareholders. So they bought stock in Smith & Wesson and then proceed to sue Smith & Wesson. Yes, that's right. They put their money up, bought stock in the company, and are now suing the CEO and the board of directors. The plaintiffs included Adrian Dominican Sisters, Sisters of the Bon Secours USA, Sisters of St. Francis of Philadelphia, and Sisters of the Holy Names of Jesus and Mary. Now, I don't know about y'all, but at least one or two of them sound like they may or may not be related to the Catholic Church. I think it's kind of interesting that they want to do that. Meanwhile, the Pope lives in Vatican City with armed guards and machine guns. So, a little bit of hypocrisy much, but okay, whatever. Yeah, doesn't the Pope Mobile have bulletproof glass? Yeah. But anyway, these plaintiffs went ahead and claimed in their suit that the defendants, who are Smith & Wesson board members and the company's senior management team, quote unquote, knowingly allowed the company to become exposed to liability for violating federal and state and local laws through manufacturing, marketing, and sales of AR-15 rifles and other similar semi-automatic firearms. So the shareholders of the company are saying in court, in a filing, that the people who are running the company are doing something illegal, illegally manufacturing AR-15s, violating federal, state, local laws, etc., etc. Now, it's not illegal in the United States to manufacture AR-15s, especially not if you're like Smith & Wesson. You get like a license to do that, SOT thing, The plaintiffs acknowledged that the lawsuit protection provided to firearm companies via the PLACA, or Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act. However, they claim Smith & Wesson has foregone these protections by continuing to manufacture AR-15s after a Smith & Wesson AR-15 was used in a mass shooting. So basically, one of Smith & Wesson's best-selling rifles that they're manufacturing totally legally, their own shareholders who have put their money up have actually now sued the board, wanting them to stop manufacturing it, trying to take over the company from the inside, for lack of a better observation. Now, there's nothing illegal about doing that. I mean, it's crazy. They suggest that the board's unwillingness to exercise any oversight whatsoever in connections with the company's illicit manufacturing, marketing, and sales of AR-15 removes the company from the PLACA protection. Now, we'll backtrack a little bit. PLACA. PLACA was a law passed by the federal government basically stating you can't sue a gun company just for being a gun company. Protection of lawful commerce and arms. Now, if they're selling them out the back door to people without background checks, yeah, you can go after them for that. If they build something that's defective and it blows up in your face, you can sue them for that. But you can't just sue a gun company because they made a gun that they sold legally and they adhered to all state and federal laws in doing so and in selling it. So they actually put this in. Now, some people are not a big fan of PLACA. However, if I went outside and I saw a car wreck and I said, oh my God, I'm going to sue Ford because I am now so traumatized by watching that drunk guy drive that Ford into that school bus, you'd all think I was nuts. But believe it or not, people sue, not people who are shot or affected in any way. People have tried to sue these firearm manufacturers just for being firearm manufacturers, trying to put them out of business. Because after all, even if they lose the lawsuit, which they likely will, guess what? It's not about the lawsuit. The process is the punishment. I can make your company spend a couple of $1 million defending something you're doing totally lawfully. Let's say, I don't know, Minnie, pick some company that we could trump up some crazy lawsuit with and go after and, just run them through the ringer. And, these activist attorneys and these activist organizations are willing to do it. And I think it's so telling that they bought stock in Smith & Wesson. This is not people who, wanted to be, just anything else, Case or Swiss, yes. Okay, there you go. Case knives. Yeah. There was a knife that was used in a stabbing. I saw the person get stabbed and bleed all over the place. I'm so traumatized. I'm going to sue that company for $50 million. And I'm going to make them come to South Carolina to defend it. I'm going to make them, get admitted. You know the whole story, Mel. She plays in court sometimes. She's like the legal mouse in the world. But what do we have? They are literally trying to bankrupt these companies by filing crazy lawsuits. It was bad enough that, again, they passed PLACA, the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act. Here we have people who invested their money, their funds in a company to buy stock, and then allege that the company is bad for selling their best-selling product because it's an AR-15, and accuse them in writing in the filings of illegal stuff and acknowledge the lawsuit protection, but they've foregone the protection by continuing to manufacture AR-15s after it was used in a mass shooting. So yes, I think if we want to, we could start suing all the automakers for every car accident we've witnessed. We've all been traumatized. We can clog the court system with stupid crap like this. And fortunately, the judge sort of worked through this, because here's what's the latest on it. Now, this started back in late 2023. They suggest, the plaintiffs ultimately claim the board's failure to prevent the company's profound and significant exposure to liability related to its manufacture and marketing on sales of AR-15 rifles amount to a breach of their fiduciary duty, mismanagement, and/or wrongdoing. So they're saying that the management of the company needs to act in the shareholders' best interest, and they, as shareholders, think it's not in the company's best interest to continue doing this. So they're now suing them to try to get them to stop this. After they've invested money in the company, they don't even care about losing the money they've invested. Let's say if they're successful and Smith & Wesson ended up going bankrupt, which I doubt would happen, but let's say it did actually happen. What's the next thing? Well, they lose all their money. They don't care. They destroyed a gun company. That's all that matters. This is how sick these freaking people are. So now, however, they go on to point out Smith & Wesson's mass profits from AR-15, so they're doing good by the shareholders, right? The massive profits from AR-15 rifles during the time frame of 2012 to 2021, but then criticize those profits as proof the company covered short-term profit over long-term risk. Yeah. Okay, Mel, I'm seeing what you're saying. It's the wrong claim. Breach of fiduciary duty means they're not acting. Right, that's what they're saying. They are claiming that it's a breach of fiduciary duty to expose the company to the liability of making those mean, bad AR things. And that basically the company is, they're bad and they're wrong and they're evil, and they need to honor their fiduciary duty by stopping selling semi-automatic weapons. That's what they're wanting. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And Smith makes a decent AR. The M&P 15 I like. I've shot it. The M&P 22 I like. In what appears to be an effort to shame Smith & Wesson, the plaintiffs also claim AR-15 rifles have been a weapon of choice for the killers responsible for the deadliest mass shootings, and they list a bunch of them here. However, they do not mention that the worst school shooting in history, which occurred back in April of 2007 at Virginia Tech, when an attacker armed with 2 handguns killed more people than in any of the 7 attacks that they blame the AR for. The Virginia Tech attacker killed 32 people. Yeah. The plaintiffs claim that AR-15 rifles are machine guns, and as such should be regulated under the NFA, the National Firearms Act. Mel, is an AR-15 a machine gun? We're going to work on this one here. We're working basic stuff here. We do have our most favorite mouse in the chit chat, so we're having fun with that. But yeah, I'm willing to bet you that an AR-15 is not a machine gun, but I may be wrong. Only owned probably owned 10 AR platforms of various kind. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. True. No liability. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Yes, agreed. And no, I'm going to go with an AR-15 is not a machine gun. And we can even show how we know that because, wow, one pull, one bang. I think that's what she said. Anyway, that's beside the point. It says, having posted the argument, they then claim violate federal law by not limiting sales to buyers who submit to the NFA guidelines. So now these people have bought stock in this company, got an attorney, filed a lawsuit, and don't know that an AR-15 is not a machine gun, or they're willing to file a lie in court. I mean, I don't know. Personally, these sisters I see have a little issue. Now, Smith & Wesson CEO told Breitbart they're proud to empower law-abiding armed American citizens with the ability to defend themselves and their families. This activist group is simply not interested in the best interest of the company or the stockholders. It's a frivolous lawsuit, simply another instance in the long history of attempting to hijack and abuse the shareholder advocacy process to harm the reputation of the company. Yeah. Fortunately, the way things went, the judge looked over the suit at the preliminary hearing and pretty much said, look, if you want to go ahead with this, they asked them to post a rather large bond to go ahead with this, and the did not post the bond. So subsequently, as a result to that, we'll just say that the suit ended up in the shitter. They never posted the bond. I think they were asking for either half or $750,000 bond. And so when they did not, the judge threw it out. Now, this was out in Nevada, Ninth Circuit. And again, when you look at this, this is the one more way to attack firearms. And, to me, it's, first of all, an AR-15 is not a machine gun. They don't know what they're talking about. Second of all, these are theoretically like nuns, religious people who have become such zealots that they're willing to do this. Folks, that's crazy. That's 50 shades of nuts. So, again, one more attempt to assault our rights to keep and bear arms, realizing in the post-Bruin world that they can't take up the Second Amendment, so they're just going to buy shares of all these gun companies and attack them that way. Now, interesting to note, Smith & Wesson had been up in Massachusetts for many, many, many years. I'd actually bought parts from them from time to time, and I was well aware they're in Mass. They've now moved their headquarters over to Maryville, Tennessee. Remington, who was in upstate New York for 11 years, they are moving their headquarters to Georgia. So, and I think Remington said they were taking over 180 jobs, 200 jobs with them, as well as close to $30,000 to $40,000 a year in tax payments and revenue. So, yeah, I agree. These sisters definitely need a hobby. Maybe they should take up firearms. I don't know if they're quite stable enough to have firearms. Having grown up around the Catholic Church, them are some messed up penguins. But, they wear black. Yeah, they're assault sisters. I will agree. I wonder if they're fully or semi-automatic assault sisters. And I hate to say it, but, these nuns, these, sisters of what's it's nuts, I got no use for them. I really don't. And this is like, we've got a situation that literally they are, trying to destroy a company and they don't know what they're talking about. And there's such a dearth of good, logical, decent information that we can't even try to look for anything. And, as long as we, let's see, have gotten a little bit of a laugh. How's everyone else doing tonight? I know I was talking to one person. They were actually streaming over in Tennessee a little bit ago. They've had another round of tornadoes that have come through. So Tennessee is having definitely a rough time over there. Let's see here. Oh, trying to see what I can find here. Huh. I thought I had, and I guess I don't, or if I do, I can't find it, or my computer just can't find it, which is quite the possibility the way things are running today. But I was going to see here if I had proof that an AR-15 is one trigger pull, one bang. Because, let me see here. All righty, pull this up here. I'm going to try to share this video across. Oh boy, there you go. We have our semi-automatic assault mouse right here, folks, in case you're wondering. Yeah, I put it this way. I don't think I'd want to be breaking into that house in O Dark 100 because I have a feeling she'll do some pretty bad things, but that's just my opinion. What would I know? You know. But yeah, she got to play with that one, and then let's see what else she get to play with over the weekend. Um, she got her first try with the baby AR. We just broke out a little bit of a baby AR. Decided to have a little fun with that. Let's see here. Yeah, here is the baby AR. She likes little miniature ARs. All right. Is anyone gonna debate me that one shot, one bang, one trigger pull, one bang? You know, but yeah, that bottom, the second one we did is actually got a little light laser combo on top of it. It does not have conventional sights. It's very much for close quarters. And if you're not aware, that's probably what is within 3 to 4 feet of my me when I go to bed most nights. So yeah, I can easily flip on the laser and I don't even worry about getting my eyes focused on sights, front sight, anything else. I just put the little green dot on what I want to neutralize and go ahead and cut loose. Yeah. Well, I mean, it all depends what you're used to. And I mean, if she's played with a smaller package for the last 10 years, then, you know, she's going to basically be going with what she's used to. And again, that's how we build practice. Um, you can technically do binary triggers. I don't know where the law is on them right now. I will say, even with a binary trigger, it's one pull to fire and then release to fire again. I'm not that much of a fan of them. I don't think I need that little miniature advantage. I mean, if I want to drop a double tap, I can pretty much, fire, recall, fire pretty quickly. And again, if you're used to that, or should I say, if you're not used to the binary, it can be a little bit surprising at a really bad time. But yeah. So yeah, Mel got to play with her with ARs, so she had fun with all that, of course. Um, So they're accepting dividends from this illegal activity. That would definitely be a very valid question. I don't understand because again, when you read the whole thing, they're sitting there 2 or 3 times saying it's illegal and it's in violation of the NFA. The NFA does regulate true machine guns, not one pull, one bang. I mean, so it's totally different. I don't know. I don't understand, but it is what it is. Yeah. And yeah, I think that was probably directed at me about, Minnie enjoying working with a smaller frame, firearm, whatever. Alrighty, now the next one I've got, next story. The travesty continues on this one, and this is a bad one. Dexter Taylor. We did a little bit of a hit on the story of Dexter Taylor a couple weeks ago, right? After he went through court. For those of y'all who missed it, I'm going to recap it as quickly as I can. Dexter Taylor lived in Bushwick, Brooklyn, up in the beautiful city of New York. Yeah, I know, don't get me started. Dexter is a 41-year-old guy. No criminal record prior to any of this garbage. Upstanding member of the community, native New Yorker, father, a data engineer, software engineer, ham radio operator, tinkerer, builder, worked in digital music, worked in audio and sound engineering. Really, yeah, having talked to him a couple times, seems like a very brilliant guy, very intelligent, very intellectual guy. And, prior to all this starting, if, if Dexter had chatted with me and said, hey, I'm looking at moving down to the boonies, down where you're at, what can you do? I'd be like, hey, this is the kind of guy you want in your neighborhood. Upstanding, law-abiding, responsible, never had any problems with anybody. Well, during the pandemic, he started getting interested in firearms. Now, he had been lawful firearm owner, member of the West Side Pistol Club up in Manhattan, which is not exactly an easy place. Up there, you actually go through background checks and everything else. By all stretch of the imagination, a decent guy. He began getting interested in gunsmithing, thinking of it maybe as a second career or another hobby. And again, when you've got someone who rebuilds sound equipment and builds all kinds of stuff, guns are kind of cool machines to build and tinker with. Well, he got some stuff to build some guns. Now, at that time, this was not illegal in New York. They really didn't have a law on it. So again, if there's no law saying something is illegal to do, it's not illegal to do. Now, it's totally legal to do here. Dexter ordered the stuff, ordered the parts, and was learning about building and repairing and working on guns. Cool. Something that a lot of us do. Well, in late 2021, they passed a law that went into effect in 2022 that made having just these parts, even if they were not totally assembled, but just the mere possession of these parts, a crime in New York. Dexter put his stuff away, wasn't using it, wasn't doing anything with it. Well, apparently, somebody they either tracked either by his credit card ordering or possibly by getting a mailing list from the parts people when they raided them. They found out that he had bought these parts and lived at such and such address. So do they call him? Do they go out to the house? They knock on the door? No, the ATF and NYPD kick in his door at dark 100 and are going through the house with long guns and weapon lights, etc., etc. Dexter was arrested, taken out to Rikers Island. Now, again, this is in the same timeline when people in New York, and you've seen it on the media, people are kicking the crap out of NYPD officers down on the ground and walking out the next day. Dexter did about a week in Rikers Island, had to post a whole pile of bond money and everything else to get out. Rikers ain't really nice. Well, Dexter got a good attorney, and this attorney seems pretty jam up, and they went to court, and on day one, the judge in the court trial and the court proceedings, as the attorney is making his opening statement, said, and I quote, "Don't talk about the Second Amendment in here. Your Second Amendment doesn't come in here because this is New York and the Second Amendment doesn't matter in this courtroom," or something to that extent. She said that open court on the record. Don't talk about the Second Amendment because it don't count here. This is New York. Now, I've got my opinions on this. I only, if she went to vote and somebody said, "Hey, don't come to here with the 19th because I don't consider the 19th Amendment legit," or I wonder how she'd feel. She literally told them the Second Amendment does not count in New York State. This is what sits on the bench up there. This is what a judge is. Okay. So, yeah, the judge in Nevada was pretty cool with Smith and Wesson's case. This judge in New York, screwed Dexter pretty hard. Dexter ended up being convicted of several counts. Um, he was sentenced this past week and is sentenced, I believe, to a minimum of 10 years. A minimum of 10 years. Now, when we look at the big picture, like I said, to me, Dexter Taylor is not a problem. Dexter Taylor is not a problem child, so to speak. I don't see any reason whatsoever at all that Dexter Taylor should, A, be convicted of anything, because again, he's doing something that is, you know, totally legal in many, many states in the union. But even beyond that, he's doing something that, again, protected by the Second Amendment, quite possibly. However, as we all know, the Second Amendment is only, you know, good enough if you can actually apply it. So, such is life. Dexter is still in Rikers. I've just put up his Give, Send, Go over in the chat on Rumble. I'm also posting up in YouTube. Folks, if you got anything you can do to help Dex out, definitely pass it along. He's got a very long road to home. Here's how this is going to play out pretty much. He has been convicted. Now, in the first trial, anything that the attorney or his attorney objected to or got ruled against would be things that would be preserved for appeal. Dexter, of course, is going to be appealing this. I feel that the attorney, the judge shooting her mouth off like that, definitely deserves to be appealed. I think, honestly, if that's not appealable error, I don't know. Mel, you're the one who's the expert in this whole thing. So, you could probably tell me that if someone in court says that, and I quote, "Don't be talking the Second Amendment in here because it don't count in my courtroom," I think that's appealable error. When, their attorney, and again, Dexter's attorneys seem like really jam up folks. They're fighting an uphill battle. It is what it is. These are the legislatures. This is what they want up in New York. They're happy about this. The Brooklyn DA actually bragged about putting Dexter in jail for all this time. Now, I'm going to be just a jackass about a few things because, we hear all the time about how, the prison industrial complex is so bad and prison is so bad and so awful and so evil to certain demographics. This is Dexter. This is him here. And he is absolutely a super decent guy. I've talked to him again while he was out on bond. The founder of the Foundation of Society, licensed ham radio operator, musician, studio owner, carpenter, metalworker, old school analog electronics geek, however, with a squeaky clean record. State of New York believes I'm a dangerous felon because I'm also a gunsmith. I quietly exercise Second Amendment at home, building weapons and developing weapons science, new hardware and software products. Raided in April of 2022, note within like 3 months of the law going into effect, he came in and raided. Again, at the time, member of good standing of the gun club. We're fighting the case now. And at this point, he was talking 18 years in prison. They're now saying 10. But they are going to be appealing it. Anything that his attorney brought up, and again, I'm pretty sure that, a judge saying something like that in the beginning would be very much reversible error. So hopefully, that the national organizations FPC if you're listening, NAGR if you're listening, GOA. Y'all have like a conference call among yourselves and somebody get up there and start getting Dexter's back, because this is the stupidest thing in the world. Now, to give you an idea, the frames and stuff that he was buying were unserialized, incomplete frames, the same ones that they're arguing about in the Supreme Court right now, saying, and the Supreme Court may rule that it's totally legal. But that's okay, because that doesn't count in the great state of New York. Yeah. Folks, definitely a bad day for Mr. Dexter. So it is what it is. But yeah, anything you can do to help Dex out, I definitely know will be appreciated. If nothing else, share the story out there. Get it out there. I think the entire 2A community needs to jump on stories like this. And I'll also go this far and say, if you get that point where you get selected to serve on jury duty, I know we all like getting out of jury duty, but imagine if you happen to be the person on Dexter's jury and they're all going ho to convict him, and I just don't think so. Sorry. You could have gotten Dexter a mistrial. So, and maybe our 2A community needs to take a quick class on jury nullification. Google that one sometime. That may be a fun one for a weekend night stream. All righty, onwards and upwards. Something a little bit more interesting. Our good gal and guy with a gun. Oh, so I see that. Susan, I see who you are now. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a happy Mother's Day and enjoyed your strawberries and lasagna yesterday. When we get into our good guy or gal with a gun, this one, kind of a funny one, happened in Cleveland, Ohio. 5 youths, as they would say in My Cousin Vinny, aged between 12 and 17, took part in a 90-minute crime spree. And we're talking multiple car thefts, break-ins, just absolutely craziness for about 90 minutes. The 12 and 17-year-olds who were involved in this are currently facing more than 24 criminal charges. If you can rack up 24 criminal charges in 90 minutes, this is not like just hanging out, chilling, being social. You've accomplished something there. You really have. They finally went and attempted to carjack an Amazon driver. The Amazon driver, however, was armed. This resulted in the 17-year-old shot and killed. At this point, we do not know what Amazon's response is going to be. We do know that in the big scope of things, they're not looking at pressing any charges. It looks like a totally illegal shooting. And again, we don't want to think about this. And I hate, from the side of a 17-year-old was killed. And we don't want to think that, these teenagers, at 12 to 17, how could this be? Folks, we're seeing it more and more. These 12, 13, 14, whatever, out doing stuff that we weren't doing when we were 12 years old. Because, honestly, I don't know what I could have possibly done at that 12, 13, 14 age group. That, where could I have possibly even gotten to the point of getting, 24 criminal charges, much less in 90 minutes flat? I mean, that's kind of like a pack of wild, I don't know what, running through the city. But we're seeing it again and again. And unfortunately, after 90 minutes of wreaking havoc on the good people of Cleveland, they ran into the wrong Amazon driver. And I almost guarantee you they figure, well, Amazon drivers probably aren't allowed to be armed. It's like, postal workers aren't allowed to be armed. And I just watched a video of one get robbed of gunpoint. They came up to this woman right from behind, grabbed her, took, her wallet, took all of her belongings, everything else, and held her at gunpoint. And she was driving a big white postal truck at the time. So again, situational awareness, but, hopefully Amazon doesn't do anything to this driver, because I'm sure they weren't really happy about it. But when you look at the history, what are you going to do? It's kind of a bad flashback to what Sniper talked about with his U-Haul manifesto the other night. Alrighty, that is about all I have got for tonight, folks. I definitely enjoyed it. I hope you all did too. If you did, please do us a favor, like it, share it out. Go ahead, give us a follow on Rumble or on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Share the stream with your friends if it can be educational, informational, if you can learn something. We always just try to do what we can to get information out there, provide information, what's going on. And as always, we have our full library up on rumble.com. And I think I'll go ahead and I'll leave you for the evening. Y'all have a wonderful night. Take care. Be smart. Be safe. Bye.
Nobody likes Joe Biden. Even Obama said don't underestimate Joe's ability to screw things up. But we've got another issue. Some in our party want to see us fail, but guess what? They're out of luck. Rather than what, got an eye on